This video is sponsored by Factor. The routine of our day-to-day lives can get really busy, and sometimes cooking a quality meal just feels like another chore to add to the list. Instead of resorting to takeout or fast food, you can rely on Factor to deliver fresh, never frozen meals right to your doorstep to save you time and meet your nutrition goals. Factor meals are easy to make. They're restaurant quality meals ready to eat whenever you want. All you need to do is heat it up for 2 minutes. And here's the thing guys, it's actually pretty affordable. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. You can try it out now by heading to factor75.com or clicking the link in the description and using the code ScareTheater50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. Plus 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you're an active subscriber. Personally, I like to use Factor for when I'm trying to eat something quick before I hit the gym, and it's really convenient. And other times, I'm just lazy. As you can see, I've actually already eaten most of what I ordered because I just couldn't resist. These are all really good. Just 2 minutes of cook time, and I swear I don't think I could have made this better myself. Seriously, it was amazing. Head to factor75.com or click the link in the description and use the code ScareTheater50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life. Plus 2 free wellness shots from 3 available flavors for every order while you're an active subscriber. Now, back to the video. One of the consequences of being human is the pain that we all experience from time to time. Living in the 21st century grants us the luxury of having access to loads of effective treatments for physical ailments, but most mental illness is incredibly tricky to treat. Sure, we have different types of medicines and treatments, but a lot of it varies drastically from person to person. For this reason, offering someone a magic bullet cure for anything and everything is sure to grab the attention of those who are desperate. These esoteric pseudoscientific treatments have existed basically forever, but today we are focusing on one that has become more common and easily accessible due to the internet. Subliminal messaging. This, on the surface, might seem like a harmless way to spread positive vibes, but there are some dark corners of this community that are so sickening, I believe YouTube should really be taking action immediately. I'm sure most of you are familiar with what subliminal messaging is. It is essentially the process of relaying a message to someone that is imperceptible to their conscious mind, but just subtle enough to be picked up by their subconscious mind and have some sort of influence on them. For instance, if I were to flash this Among Us picture on the screen for a frame, then a proponent of subliminal messaging would say that you might be feeling very sussy right now for some reason. These messages aren't just visual, but can be auditory as well. Sometimes they take the form of a reversed message being put into a song, or perhaps a message that is lowered to a frequency just beneath you being able to consciously hear. It is said that subjecting someone to enough of these messages could subconsciously create a big impact on their behavior. Because of this, a lot of people look to these as a way to treat their mental health issues. On YouTube, there's a community of people that create and release subliminals that have affirmations in them that will give the listener whatever effect they desire. Most of these are for things like being more confident, happy, or motivated. Some go deeper and claim they can even cure a mental illness like depression or anxiety. The reality of it is that there is no conclusive evidence to suggest that subliminal messaging like this actually does anything to affect behavior. I read over a few studies that examine the effects of subliminals affecting people both mentally and physically. The results were underwhelming. In a 1992 study, they wanted to see if subliminal backward recorded messages in a song affected attitudes. They had 82 participants assigned to one of these 4 conditions, and through a questionnaire, concluded that there were no significant differences between the participants' attitudes. In 2001, another similar study was done to see how subliminal messages could affect self-esteem. A pre-trial self-esteem test was given to all subjects before they were randomly assigned to one of the 4 groups on screen. After several days of repeating this, they found that there was no difference between any of the groups except for the one that listened to no music at all. This would indicate that any perceived effects were just placebo. Another 2 studies I read examined the potential for subliminals causing physical effects. A 1992 study looked at the effects subliminal messaging had on weight loss when they randomly assigned female subjects to one of 3 groups. They were all weighed for 5 weeks, and the average amount of weight lost by each group was about the same. Finally, we have a 1995 study that tested to see if subliminals could cause an itching reaction in people. The participants were randomly assigned to one of these 3 groups. The study found no evidence of influence from the subliminal suggestions. In fact, the only group that even had a questionable reaction to the effects was the group that heard the message non-subliminally. I could bombard you with many more of these studies, but I think you get the point. It's safe to say subliminal messaging is not a reliable way to influence behavior, let alone cure mental illness. But it quickly becomes clear that a large amount of people in the subliminal community aren't interested in what science has to say. A lot of these subliminals offer even more outlandish stuff, like manifesting things like money, types of clothing, and social media followers. If you're wondering how this is taken seriously by anyone, it's because this community has some overlap with other metaphysical communities. Some of these subliminal videos state that the creator performed a magic ritual on it to get it to work better. So when we get deep into stuff like this, it's easy for them to dismiss what is possible in the realm of science. Now, you might be wondering, why do you care, Eric? Sure, it's a little strange, but it's not hurting anyone. And yeah, in most cases like this, I would agree that it's not really a big deal if people want to believe harmless stuff like this. In fact, I'm sure there are a lot of people that actually do benefit from some of the subliminals that promote things like confidence and motivation. Not because the subliminals are actually doing anything, but because this might be a way for some people to focus more on the things they want and then take actions in the real world to make that a reality. Almost like a form of meditation, which is something that is proven to have benefit. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're about to dive one level deeper, and you'll quickly see why I have a problem with this and why you should too. Some people in the subliminal community gather together and create an unhealthy obsession with this practice. Their groups can promote toxic views and exist in an echo chamber where no outside thought is really listened to. So we'll be focusing on the mother of all echo chambers, Reddit. In the subliminal subreddit, you'll see posts from many people who believe in this stuff very deeply and often push views that I think are damaging. Some of the people here are trying to use subliminals to find easy fixes to complicated problems. One person made a post saying they listened to a subliminal to try and get people from an outside friend group to become their friend. And I guess in this instance, they're saying that it worked because one of those people ended up following them. A lot of people saw this as a phenomenal success and even wanted to know where they could find this particular subliminal message to listen to. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think anyone is going to help themselves by listening to an audio clip on YouTube. If somebody wants friends, wouldn't it be more helpful to encourage them to get out there, talk to people, and work on their social skills rather than listen to a subliminal? Some other posts on here are asking for links to a subliminal that will manifest their desired husband, and one person even asked for one that would make them burn fat without exercising. But even these are the least problematic of the posts that are on here. The subreddit has a note on the sidebar that reminds people they cannot gain superpowers, change their eye color, or change their DNA using subliminals. This note appears to have gone entirely ignored because I swear nearly every post on here is from someone trying to change their physical appearance in some way. There are so many posts of people trying to change their eye color, face shape, and body type. One of the top posts on here is literally a dude that allegedly used subliminals to morph his appearance so that he would look like a K-pop idol. Obviously, doing this stuff isn't actually possible, but I think people engaging in this community is damaging to their mental health, especially because it is clear that a lot of these users are kids. Having a young kid obsessed with changing their physical appearance and chasing perfection is a recipe for future insecurity and possible body dysmorphia. The community isn't completely devoid of skepticism, however. I'm happy to say that the top post here is actually about how difficult it is to find a convincing photo of someone that actually achieved these science-defying results. In the comments, there are even some users who are currently using subliminals but having doubts, so there's still hope for some of them. The responses this thread received are about as unhelpful as you might expect. One person links this post as evidence that this stuff works. This person apparently used subliminals to change their eye color from brown to green. I'm not going to insult your guys' intelligence by explaining why this is unimpressive, but just know this is the kind of stuff this community views as top-notch evidence. Some of the other responses on this thread were lackluster, with one of them saying the reason it doesn't work for a lot of people is because the types of subliminals that do work really well are kept hidden from the majority of us. And one of them was just straight up insulting, when someone responded that the reason this person hasn't found the proof they're looking for is because their self-limiting beliefs are holding them back from being in resonance with the people who master this. Imagine a doctor telling a patient the reason the anesthesia isn't working is because they don't believe in it enough. The people here who do claim to get results from this stuff is almost certainly just placebo along with confirmation bias. I guarantee if they were to listen to a subliminal that was labeled something like achieve happiness, but in reality the messages were actually negative things, the listener would still report positive results and be none the wiser. How can I be so sure of this? Because this actually happened. The community has some serious lore to it. Back in like the mid-2010s, there was a popular user in this community named MindPower. This person would actually create subliminals promising positive effects. They developed quite a name for themselves, and a lot of people would praise this person for how well their subliminals worked. That is, until around 2017, when some people started noticing something strange. This person was actually a Satanist who, unbeknownst to their viewers, included subliminals that would say things like, "I accept Lucifer as my master, my family hates me, and I want to kill myself." Word spread pretty quickly, and someone even made a video exposing them, which at the moment has a little over 250,000 views. The person was shunned from the community after this, but isn't it strange that most people experienced positive effects right up until the moment they were told they were being deceived? Almost as if it was a placebo of some sort. All jokes aside, if you think what we've heard so far is bad, you might want to consider clicking off the video right now because it's about to get absolutely vile in a minute. Trigger warnings on screen. You've been warned. We're now going to plunge all the way down to the darkest depths of this subject. Underground subliminals. Subliminals that promise positive effects make a lot of sense, but what if I were to tell you that there is a whole genre of subliminals that is openly dedicated to giving you negative effects? That is exactly what underground subliminals are. They can be found simply by searching for them on YouTube, and at first it's really confusing. Some of these videos are supposed to be for acquiring mental disorders like Tourette's, autism, depersonalization, and anorexia. Others are supposed to get the listener parents, and others are to manifest illegal substances and weapons. It's so surreal looking through all of these, and all I can ask is just, why? Well, the reason varies from person to person, or at least the reason they're telling us varies. Some say it's because they have a mental health disorder that isn't taken seriously enough, so they want to use subliminals to make it worse so they can get a diagnosis. Others say they have parents who are but not enough for CPS to get involved, so their solution is to make them more. These are all super counterintuitive approaches, especially because if they truly believe that subliminal messages have magical effects like this, why wouldn't they just listen to a subliminal to cure their disorder or make their parents no longer abusive? If I'm being totally honest here, it really does come off as angsty teens seeking attention. There are a few posts on Reddit from people who used to listen to and even create underground subliminals, and they will often state that when they were doing this, it was a form of self-harm. Now, in case it's not clear enough, the issue here isn't that these videos are going to actually harm these people by giving them mental disorders and stuff. That's obviously not possible. You can't get autism just by listening to a YouTube video, unless it's mine. The issue is that these are clearly attracting kids who are going through a rough time mentally, and it is encouraging their negative thinking. Unfortunately, there are a lot of edgy kids out there that think mental illness and trauma is cool. If you surround people like this with a community that encourages toxic behavior, they're only going to get worse. It has nothing to do with some supernatural effect of subliminals. This applies to every type of community. And while this is bad, this is still nothing compared to what I'm about to show you. I seriously advise you click off the video if you don't want to ruin your day right now. The final, most sickening aspect of the underground subliminal community I want to talk about is the predatory side. This is going to be the shortest part of the video because what little I saw made me so sick I couldn't bear to continue researching this. If you search real deep into underground subliminal videos, you'll find strange videos that claim to be able to make the listener look younger. Now, this wouldn't be weird if it were targeted to people who were like 40 or 50 and wanted to look a little bit younger, but these are targeted toward kids. One of these videos is titled Bait. Here's what the description says, which I'm not going to read aloud. This is absolutely disgusting. Another one of these videos is titled You Dirty Old Man, and this is what the top comment on the video says. But oh, it gets worse. The main channel that was brought to my attention regarding this content was Puppytan4517. Among their most problematic videos are these two. The images aren't necessarily explicit, but given the context, I don't feel comfortable enough to not censor these. As you'd expect, the description is full of more gross descriptions of how this will make the listener look younger for very sick purposes. This entire channel is filled with vile stuff like this, and in a couple of the videos, there are actually explicit animations of that disgusting genre that begins with an L and ends with Ollie. That's when I noped out and decided I've seen enough. This straight up violates YouTube TOS, and some of these videos have over 100,000 views. I reported the channel, and I really hope YouTube does something about this. The worst part is, this isn't the only channel like this. Apparently, there's a bunch of them. I wouldn't at all be surprised if these channels were run by adults who are trying to lure in potential victims. And even if that isn't the case for some of these channels, you can pretty much guarantee that there are sickos that go to these channels looking for someone to take advantage of. It absolutely sickens me that YouTube has done so much to monitor the website to restrict things like swear words, yet does absolutely nothing to get rid of disgusting, harmful things like this. I'm not religious, but I'm praying that YouTube starts addressing the real problems like this soon. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the flip side.